Welcome to the Workhorse Podcast. We are back with episode 2 of season 2. Jessica and Kendall here. Always. Well, not always. I guess we did have a solo episode or two last season.
And the boys want to be on an episode coming up. Well, Jay is heavily invested in coming on to one of your episodes. One specific that you all don't know about yet, but Jay is very invested in, and he is like, tag
I
me in. He
does
wants
he
to
have
like guest co-host that.
does he have like a background in interrogation? Should I be concerned? Like, is he gonna
He has a background in what you're getting yourself into, and therefore he has a lot of questions. And I
getting
have been
myself into?
terrible. I was joking with Jess because I'm like, the guy who has the dish on like so and so is breaking up with so and then has none of the information for his wife. I'm like that, but the other way around. Jay's been asking me every day for updates, and I have no idea. So he just wants to get on the podcast so he can ask you all the questions that he's been asking me and getting nowhere.
That's fair. And you broached it with CJ, but he's not feeling so great right now. And I also feel like where you guys are at in your journey. So you opened the store in October. So we stopped
Mm-hmm.
recording in July for season 1. You opened in October, the end of October, which is why we didn't hit our initial
Yeah.
deadline of season
Yeah.
2 starting. And you guys have had November and December, and you just got a little holiday. We'll call it a holiday, although you
Yep.
decided a bathroom reno was a perfect time to occur on a holiday, but had a little bit of a holiday. And so
Yep.
I feel like the last thing that we had that was kind of really weighing on us wrapped up the day before New Year's for us.
Yeah.
So I think when you told CJ, like, Jay wants to be on the podcast, CJ is just like, we have not finished processing. That was the
Yeah.
look I saw on his face,
Yeah.
was just like, woo, don't ask me anything right now because I don't even know what,
He
how,
had a
or why.
very small opinion when we were talking about
Mm-hmm.
it. He's like, "My
Mm-hmm.
opinion is," and it was like 4 words.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with everything, it's just he's gonna need a little time.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a lot. But anyways, Jay is always welcome. I just needed to know if I need to be ready for an interrogation. But
No, he just
we're
has
gonna
so many he's very excited for you, and so therefore he has a lot of questions.
this is such a good teaser for episodes 3 and 4.
It's gonna
So
be good.
make sure that you hit the follow, favorite, listen, whatever it is that tells
Subscribe.
you
We're
subscribe.
back, guys. We know.
Season 2, subscribe.
Yeah. I know. It's like honestly we forget.
Really though, like this is whatever. If you want
We're back
if
at
you
it.
want a polished podcast, we
This
can
is not
recommend
it.
some for you.
We'll put them in the show notes.
Oh god. Oh, we have to make those again, don't we?
I know.
We do. Okay. So we left off episode 1. You gave us a little teaser about the store opened, and because you're stocking things that are other edible retail
Yeah.
things than what you make, you did a stocking stuffers that you could, like, goods that you could put inside stocking stuffers, because I'm
Yeah.
assuming shoving a tomahawk steak in a
Yeah,
stocking is
so
a
like
little rough.
we typically don't have a lot of like products that are good for gifting. I mean, don't get me wrong, we do get, at Father's Day, guys are getting tomahawks and
Mhm.
we are setting people up for that, but we've never had the ability to really generate revenue from something that is really solid for gifting. So this year we did grab and go gifts for the holidays. We did like ones for teacher gifts. Actually, we sold a lot. We did an elderberry syrup and an immunity tea, and we bundled those together because kids are like germy, and they sold really well. Everybody bought them for their teachers and like their kids' teachers, and with like a sorry, kids are gross was kind of the vibe. But
Oh.
we did little grab and go like hostess gifts ideas that were like pre-wrapped, ready to go. And I got little custom tags printed that said the gift of nourishment with our farm logo on it. And so like people loved just being able to grab those. We built a section that was like a stocking stuffer bar, and it had all the different items. So like guys loved coming in and getting that stuff because it was like, beautiful jams that were for charcuterie and
Mm.
high-end coffee and just nice things like really beautiful salted caramels and stuff that women would love to be able to consume. We brought in stuff for guys, like cool hot sauces and stuff like that, that just made really good stocking options.
At your store, what is the percentage of your goods to other goods now? Like, I guess in terms of square footage for the easiest breakdown, like, if you were to walk into your store, what would you say, like, percentage to percentage?
I mean, probably equal number of walls have glass front freezers versus
Mhm.
have retail shelves. So we
Okay.
run about, I think we're at 2 glass front coolers and 6 glass front freezers for like
Mhm.
retailing, but then we also now have the really huge walk-in freezer that's directly Jay built it out really cool. So the glass fronts are in front of it, and then the actual walk-in is directly behind it, and he kind of like built the door to the walk-in into the wall. It's like recessed so you don't notice it. It kind of looks like a seamless transition. So you can just go right into that walk-in and be able to restock the glass fronts, which has just been such a gift to us with how busy the farm store is, to actually be able to. We used to have a shipping container, sea can outside, a sea can, a refrigerated sea can outside.
Just
And
talking
then
to
you had
someone
to,
about your weird words today. Who
yeah.
was that?
So we
Oh,
had a shipping
Mari.
container that you had to go outside the building to go into the, like, so it's just, I
Mhm.
know that seems so small, but at the volumes that we move, it's really a big difference. And then you don't have staff having to like leave the store to go outside and get product when the store is open. So it's just been such a blessing. But I would say 50% of wall
Mhm.
space is
Yeah.
taken by retail versus our products.
Okay, yeah, that gives, like, a good mental picture
Mhm.
for when you're thinking about how much stuff there. That's a lot, though. I feel like coming from you didn't have any of that at the old farm store.
Yeah, so the very, very first farm store we had, which was the teeny tiny farm gate stand at the old farm, which Jay and I could hold hands and touch opposite walls. It had one glass front freezer, one tiny little fridge that had eggs in it, and it had 3 shelves that had probably 10 items, like 10 different items on it.
Mm,
And that's just because, again, like, I needed decor, and so I was like, "Oh," and that at the time I was selling with at the farmer's market, so I was just, like, bringing my friends' stuff home at the end of market and putting it on the shelf. Like, it wasn't, they'd bring me a case of their jam or a case of their seasonings, and I could just take it home at the end of the market and put it on the shelf. So it wasn't really what we're doing now, which is a much more significant retail play.
was that a lot? I mean, that stuff adds up quick, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's actually been a lot more than I thought it was going to from a back end organizing. It's kind of a pain. I'll be honest. It's kind of a pain. But it is producing revenue and it is generating revenue with good margins. And so it's been worth it. And it's producing something, or it's producing revenue that we're not having to be as hands-on with, right? Like, yeah, it's kind of a
Mm,
pain in the butt,
mhm.
but we also don't have to raise it,
You're
butcher
not
it,
growing the
pack it,
raspberries to make the
like.
jam. Yeah.
Totally. So as much as I sit there and I'm like, it's a pain in the butt, I would say it was just more of a learning curve for me on how to do it properly from a bookkeeping standpoint. There was a lot, like Carolina, our controller and bookkeeper, she definitely has her moments with me where she's like, I just love that spring these and we don't really have it all figured out yet as far as
Mm,
for me. Um, but it's been really good and we're getting a better handle on it. Things are selling faster than I was expecting. It's that kind of concept of like I had no back data, I think was my hardest thing.
oh.
So like going into Christmas and having no idea like what types of products are going to sell. What, like, you buy something and you got it. Like it's yours whether it sells or not. And so figuring out what was going to work and what wasn't has been a little bit of a learning curve, and just how fast, like, we sold some products out so fast that it was like trying to rush replacements at a time of year that is hard, like right before Christmas. I mean, everybody needs to get their chocolates delivered right before Christmas in retail. So
Mm,
it's been a little bit of a learning curve of not having any data points to really base my purchasing decisions on, and there's definitely been some products I brought in that failed.
like what?
um So I brought in grow your own mushroom kits.
Wait, you did this?
Oh
You
my
you
god.
were
Okay, I
growing
think
a
that's what
mushroom in your stories?
I am obsessed with these grow your own mushroom kits. No fault of the business. So if that business, like,
Great,
their
great
product was
business stuff. Okay.
fantastic.
Mhm.
Amazing. Sold some right out the gate. They was really excited. To be honest, I ordered them knowing, like, there's a chance these aren't gonna sell, and I only had to buy, like, 10 of them, so it wasn't
Mm,
anything crazy, and I was like, "Whatever, I'll just grow the mushrooms if they don't sell, and I'll eat them, and that'll be fine." Um, they didn't do as well as I thought they were going to do in our store. It's a successful business, they do great, they're retailed all over the place, they just didn't work out for us. Um, just a couple, like, weird things like that, whether it be price point that didn't line up, whether it be, and some of it comes down to just, like, the marketing of it, right? Like, some of that falls on me. The more products we have, the
mhm.
more stuff I've gotta be able to individually talk to people about, and I find that, like, if I talk about a product, it sells, and so it's just, you know, whether I've been talking about certain things enough or piquing people's interest, and I've even having to learn now that actually how I retail products, like how I display them, how I move them around, when I reconfigure things and suddenly something starts selling better, like, that's all new to me. I've been selling out of a glass front freezer, like, it's in there, it is what it is. People come in and they buy the pork chops. It doesn't matter what shelf they're on, they're selling. So this has all just kind of been a little bit of a learning curve.
Man, I don't know, I like my brain is, like, tinging all over the place with just all these wild questions. Like, do you wish that you had taken some sort of class on that? I mean, I'm sure somebody is selling merchandising class,
Yeah, and there's lots
something?
of schooling about that. And I mean, I very briefly dabbled in I went back to post-secondary for merchandising and retail. I know. When we bought the hotel. So when we bought
Oh,
the hotel, I actually took a course through college, or through the university that was, like, remote to figure out the merchandising, but I went into it with a different business in mind. Like, I was
mhm.
retailing not food-based products. It was just to get a better idea if we wanted to open actually, like, the mercantile with a more focus on Western fashion and that kind of stuff, what that looked like versus this. And I think the part that has been weird for me with this transition is that we have such a huge customer base. And then so it's not like I'm trying to jam something in with already a big customer base. So the demand ended up being higher than I expected. And it wasn't, I don't know, it was just a weird, everything kind of happened at once. Like, we opened the new farm store, we added obviously the retail goods, we had the farm kitchen all of a sudden, but then we had such a huge customer base that I don't know, it was just like a really weird scramble versus whether we just, like, opened a new store at the very beginning and we're trying to figure it out.
And I would guess I know you said Carolina? Carolina?
Carolina, yep.
Carolina. I'm gonna guess you don't have a great handle considering it's been, like, 2 months. Like, you don't
Yeah.
have a great handle on, like, margins and different things like
Oh.
that.
Oh,
Do
no,
you?
she's got that dialed. Yeah, oh,
Oh.
no, she was sending me message and she was like, "You need to get this up to," she wants me at 50% on, so meaning I am doubling the price that I am
Mhm.
paying for it. She wants, if I'm selling retail goods and I bought it for 5, she wants me selling it for 10. And that's not always possible in food products. But she really, I think we're sitting at 46 right or 43 right now, and she wants me at 46
Overall, like,
for
average.
retail goods, not
'Cause
meat.
what is a loaf of sourdough? Wholesale.
Uh, that's not a good margin for us. So we buy at 10, sell at 13, not a good
Mm.
margin. But
Mhm.
we do that because people really love they're like the fresh sourdough. And so there are people who will come in because they're sourdough. And
It's
that's
like a
like
loss leader.
it's a local
Mhm.
baker. It's a small business, another female, like, she's younger than me. To me, that's really important from a supporting.
Right.
Like, to me, I'm not
Yeah.
looking that's not something I need to make a big margin on, but then there's other products, like, there's certain things that I definitely take a bit of a beating on. Chef Adrian spices, I'm taking a beating on. There are certain things that it's just because of the support for that person, more so than anything, but that means that I definitely have to put a focus on other retail goods being higher. Local cheese is another one I take a hit on local
Ooh, I
cheese,
can't
like,
imagine.
I'm not getting any sort of crazy margin out of that.
I don't you know what, though? Yes, profit is important. Yes, we should price our worth. Yes, we need to make money. You deserve to make money. You deserve to earn a good living, but also This is going to be so important in episodes 3 and 4. Also, it's important to do things that fill your cup up and drive you in other ways or support your community or do things that don't necessarily like I'm not saying eat it in the shorts. I'm not saying buy sourdough for
For
10 and sell
sure.
it for 7, but yeah, I get that. I
For
feel
sure. And
that so
I think
strongly.
the problem with it is those are tend to be the higher perishable products where I take the
The
loss
bigger
on it.
hit.
Like if it doesn't sell, I am actually
Mm.
just taking a loss on it, right? So the one thing that helps is the kitchen. So with the sourdough, for example, if we don't end up selling all the sourdough that I order, we're using that bread then in a hot lunch option
Oh,
on
that's
Saturday.
smart.
So, like, we're really trying to be cognizant that we don't have things going to waste. Like, we were selling produce at the beginning. We were selling produce from a friend who her season is now over. So, when I was buying squash and things like that from her, if we didn't sell it, it turned into squash soup. So, yes, we were selling some of the because the problem is like you can't bring in 4 squashes. Like
No.
that not for not for a farm of our size. It looks funny when there's like 3. Like typically you're not going to sell
Right.
and the friend of mine that's Kingfisher, she said the same thing. That's who we get our produce from. She said the same thing. She's like, if we don't have a lot of it, it doesn't move. And she's like, that's what she does. And she has a weekly market that's very successful. So she knows her stuff about produce. Like I don't know my stuff about produce, but I do know that if it doesn't look full and beautiful, it doesn't sell as well. And so the problem with that is if it doesn't sell, what do I do with it? Well, as long as it's not lettuce, which we were eating it
Mhm.
on salad greens there for a bit because it wasn't selling at the level that we needed it. But things like squash could go into the farm store and become squash soup that then becomes prepared foods where we freeze it. And so we're really trying we were doing like chili with toasted sourdough and Adrian was doing, like with an Italian seasoning on it or whatever so that we could make sure that it was going into something else.
How has that been? Like, I feel like that's a very understanding chef. Or is he excited to have the like, how
That's
does
just
he
what
see
Adrian
that?
that's just what Adrian's always done though. That's where prepared foods came from was to avoid waste in his own kitchen at his restaurant
Mm.
back when he was doing that. So like when I message Adrian about something like that, I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to up the amount of sourdough because we had an opportunity S since we opened our farm store, there's been a few other farm stores really close to us that have opened that
Mm.
are smaller than us, but like we were coming up the ranks and coming up in that same space. And one of the things that I said to Adrian, like when we were first looking for a sourdough bread producer, I had one reach out to me. She reached out to me. I put it in Instagram on Instagram and I was like, hey, we're looking for a sourdough baker. And she reached out right away and was like, I would love to bake sourdough for you. I'm just down the street.
Oh,
She sells though in one of those other farm stores. And I was just like, you know what? I would love to, but I've put some thought into it. And I was just like, I personally don't love the optics of it that
yeah.
they're smaller than us. They're smaller than us and they're newer than us. Like they're new
Right.
and
Yeah.
we are not new, like new in retail at that location. Like it was a brand new farm store on a brand new spot. And I was just like, I don't love the optics that it looks like Central Park Farms, you
S
know,
yeah.
I don't know. I just didn't like that we looked like maybe we were like maybe a bigger as far as retail, not a bigger business. They do all sorts of other stuff in farming, but their retail spot is like a little bit smaller than us. And I was like, I just don't want to look like I'm trying to steal the sourdough bread. And she's like, I can bake for both of you guys. And I was like, you know, I didn't
Mhm.
love the
Yeah.
optics. So we got a different baker. And then that baker had an increase in capacity so that she could start selling other places. And I was just like, I don't want you baking anywhere else. So I'll take all your bread, even though I didn't really need it.
Oh.
I just didn't I just didn't want as much of a I didn't want conflict. I didn't want that her bread's at my place and her bread's at someone
Do
else's
you think
place.
that would be conflict? Or is it the appearance?
I think that I'm just really this is going to maybe this is going to sound like an anti-competition,
Nah, it's
but I
our
think that
podcast. We can say what we
yeah,
want.
so I don't want to look like I'm stealing somebody else's stuff, and I
Yeah.
also don't love looking like other people, and I don't like looking
Yep.
like I'm sharing.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean I won't share, but I feel like I give that same respect back. So I feel like it's okay for me to say that. I could have taken this bread baker that was, selling it somewhere else.
Right. Mhm.
And I didn't because I just thought, you know what? Like this bread girl is selling here. Now she's at both of those locations. So she's selling at both of the small farm stands, like the new one that just opened too. And that's totally cool. I just would love that if we could individually support this one baker so that just the same as that baker probably doesn't
Mhm.
want me bringing in two different bread people where they're competing against each other in my farm store. I would rather just like, if I can, her bread's available
Yeah.
at her place that you can order directly from her or you can get it from us, and it just doesn't like muddy the waters on where that bread is from and where you can get it only with us or with her direct. I just versus her trying to advertise her bread at like, a bunch of different quote unquote competing but not competing. You know what I mean? I just like
No, it is because 'cause I'm sitting here looking at it from, like, a un uninvolved
yeah.
observer because on one hand, you're like, "Oh, get it, sourdough baker." Like, of course you wanna be in as many store like, that's gotta be a
Yeah,
feather in their cap to be,
for sure.
"I'm in all of these places, you can find me all over here." But then there is something to be said from the store side of, like, "This is where you come to get X."
And I'm gonna sound super shitty, so just like go with it. I market the heck out of the people that are in my sphere. And so I
Mhm.
am creating a strong marketing relation. Like I have a professional photographer
Right.
shooting the bread in my store and I am like
Do you
tagging and
share
posting
those?
and promote. Oh
Do you
yeah.
give those to her?
Oh, of course.
With no
You go,
extra
girl.
fee?
Nope. Your
Oh,
product's in
that's
my
amazing.
store. I'm gonna love on you. I'm gonna
Yep.
like when I brought her into the store, I sent her a message and was like, tell me what you want as your like she's a younger
Mm.
female entrepreneur. I'm like, if you want to grow your followers, let me know and I will promote you that way. If you want
Sales, if
to
you want yeah.
sales this way, like I don't care. I'm not getting rich off your bread. So you tell me what you want and let's try to
Mhm.
make that work. But like I also if I can take all of her bread so that she's getting everything that she wants without having to, because keep in mind, she also then doesn't have to drive around to two or three different
Yeah.
places. She came to me and was like, hey, I have more capacity. Totally understand if you can't take it, but I want to bring it to you first. And I was like, thank you for that. I don't need it, but I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna figure it out because I'd like that to just stay. Like, I think for her, she would rather that because she's got her own farm stand too. And I'm like promoting to people that you can get bread. Like, if you're not close to
Right.
me, you might be close to
Mhm.
her. Go get it. And plus, it's $3 cheaper if you buy it from her.
And so how has it been with Adrian? Like, with especially the sourdough bread is, like, such a good example of it, but, I mean, has that been successful, or is it difficult because you're paying Adrian to handle it again?
Yeah. So, like, we do something called a store transfer. So like the complicated thing about the way Adrian and I are set up is Adrian is his own independent business. I don't like Adrian is not my employee.
Right.
So, which is a little bit it's actually really unique. So most people that would have a kitchen like in on the coast, having a kitchen inside your farm store is not like revolutionary. There's many of these places that have like a restaurant built into their farm
Mhm.
store, but those people are employed by the store. They're not an independent business. Like Adrian, I'm Central Park Farms and Adrian operates Salt and Thyme out of that store in collaboration with us, but he also can do some like other things if he wants to and what have you. So I do something called a store transfer, and that's a Carolina thing. That's how she wanted us to handle it. So if
Mhm.
something's coming from the store going into the kitchen, we put it on a document and that document goes to Carolina so that she can track that movement. But then Adrian's just not including that in his food cost. So he's going to make the hot soup and the bread or whatever
Mhm.
regardless. So instead of him having to go buy buns for the chili, he's going to use the sourdough and then he's just not including that in the cost. And then when that comes back to me, he'll say to me like, "Hey, I can do the chili hot lunch for $6." And then I look at it and I'm like, "Okay, how much bread and how much brisket is going into that, into each individual serving, and he tells me what the products that came from me, how much of them are in there, and then I calculate that cost into it, and I say, okay, well, you need 6, that added a buck 30 from my ingredients contribution to that. Okay, well, now I'm going to charge 12. And so, like, I'm building my cost into his price, and he's not including that food cost in his. He's including his food costs that he's
Mhm.
incurring in his kitchen for the products he's ordering. He's telling me how much of my products are going into it. I add my cost to that, and then I tack on my margin. He doesn't care what I charge for it. The end cost does not matter to him because he's not that's not his
Yep, he
thing.
doesn't he got his
He
$6.
he
He's
got
fine.
his $6, which is his food cost plus his labor. He doesn't care what goes on from there. Then I always have to, and that's the same as it's been with prepared foods. Adrian has always I've always given him the meat, and then he's told me how much of it goes in, cuz like otherwise that's just how it worked for our books best
Yeah,
is we
yeah.
give him the meat, plus for certain things like he'll take a whole chicken, and if you're interested in learning more about the prepared foods, we'll link to that podcast episode because I go a bit more into detail on this. But there's certain things like we'll take a whole chicken and he'll make chicken pot pies with the whole chicken, but he'll take the wings off and do those in the pre-cooked wings. And then the carcass goes into broth, and then he uses some
Mhm.
broth to make gravy. So like it's too complicated. Like we just give him the chicken, and then he tells me how much of what goes back into the products, and that's been the way that it works for us. And then I know to add that cost in and then tack on my prepared foods or my hot lunch option, like my margin on it.
What's your margin on prepared foods?
uh I don't know what my blended margin is right now. It's not as good as probably
Like less
30.
than 50%? Okay.
Oh yeah,
I was
for
just
sure.
curious, like, where it fell with retail, and
Yeah.
that was just me being nosy, but, like,
Yeah,
where it
no,
fell.
prepared foods is
Less.
less, and I will come back to that. We'll just like stick it
Okay,
into a
yeah.
future
No, no, that's
episode because
great.
we're right in the process of looking at those numbers for year end. It's just been things have changed a lot since October. So it's not wildly high, but the thing is that it sells our product as well. So like if you're a meat
Mhm.
producer, you're going to get stuck with ground pork, you're going to get stuck with some ground beef. Like we don't ever have that. I can move bones, I can move all that in a prepared foods product. So
Mm.
I'm getting retail value of the meat that's going into it. Plus, I'm getting a margin on prepared foods. So it's kind of tough to say what my like full margin is because if I'm calculating how much ground beef goes in and I'm doing it at retail, because to me, I don't want to not get retail on the meat that's going into it because it's otherwise I'd sell it to a customer. Like I don't want to wholesale it into the prepared foods. Like
Mhm.
it's half of one, six dozen of the other, but I do full retail into the prepared foods plus a margin.
Oh. I know we talked
So
about
make
this, but
so
I'm
like
just
I
being
make an
curious.
additional 20 to 30% when it goes into prepared foods, even though it's no more work for me.
And how is Adrian liking this? Okay, so he's doing prepared foods
Yeah,
like
he's doing
normal,
prepared foods. Yeah,
like
like
you
normal,
always
like he
have
always
done,
did.
but in your kitchen now. So he doesn't have that kitchen. Does he pay
Correct.
you a kitchen rental?
So we don't right now do
Okay.
a kitchen
Okay.
rental. It changes his because like that's another one of those six and one, half a dozen of another. If he's
Mhm.
paying us a high rent, then suddenly all his prepared foods, like that's built into the costs, right? Like so he's building that in. So it's just dependent on that. Now, we have had a few things that we have expanded with the kitchen in recent months. And so we have a meeting coming up with Adrian like in the beginning of next week that we'll look at because so far he's really only been doing stuff for us. But if he wants to start doing other things like prepared foods, I don't know. If there's other things he wants to do, like cooking classes that are out of that space, whatever, those will be things that we'll take on like a case by case basis on whether or not we need to have
Mhm.
like a lease, like a
A
rent payment
formal, yeah.
or not. But so far it's just been that it decreases our cost to produce prepared foods. So,
Yeah.
and it also has been really beneficial for us in that Adrian's doing sampling out of the kitchen and things like that. So people are trying he's making pulled pork and he's sharing recipes on how to do it, and then people are buying the
Mhm.
products. So like we've really seen an increase in the sales, and I do think a lot of that comes from the fact that, like, you walk into the farm store now and it smells so good because there's, like, Adrian's
He's
got,
cooking.
chicken
Mhm.
gravy on, and he's making some soups, and you just kinda get this hustle and bustle in the kitchen, and it always just smells so delicious in the store, which just gets people spending more.
Is he now he's also making, like, hot lunches,
Yeah, so that's
different than prepared foods, or is it just a prepared food reheated?
no, so we've been doing a different option than than what we do in the prepared freezer. The thing is about that is that we don't necessarily want to do it every day, at least so far. What we've been doing it more as is like on Saturdays through the month of December. That's when we kind of like first kicked it off. We were doing some sampling and things like that leading up to it. But Saturdays in December, we did one specific hot lunch and it was kind of like a pop up. Like you were going to get your brisket chili on this
Mhm.
Saturday, and the following Saturday, it was something else. And we've been playing with that idea a little bit. And what I found is the idea of a pop up, more people were buying it than I think if we were just having like a hot
A
lunch
set
menu.
menu.
Yeah, because people were coming in and they're like, "What's for lunch today?" And it was just like,
Aw.
"Hey, we're doing chili or whatever." And then they would go and buy it versus the other way where you have a big menu and that's like a whole thing that you're managing, and then Adrian's got to
Yeah.
be there every week. So it's been working out really well. And then the beautiful thing is the items that Adrian's been choosing have been chosen that if it doesn't all sell, it gets packed and goes into prepared foods. So like we didn't sell
Oh.
all of our sausage. We did a sausage, vegetable, and white bean soup, and it was really popular and really delicious. We just didn't happen to sell it all, and that was fine because now we have 10 containers of it in the freezer as like a one-off soup that you can buy, and we sold some of them today. We sold multiple of them
Oh.
today. So it didn't create waste. So we were able to use everything. We produced no waste, and we actually had a pop-up option that then went into the prepared freezer as a one-off, and then we can see how it goes if it wants to be added in as a permanent option.
And so is he there every weekend?
No, so he's not there every week. Oh, he was in December, but he's not there every weekend. He's there, I would say, probably about 3 to 4 days a week, dependent. So we're thinking about introducing a little bit of the hot food to go option because we're open Wednesday nights until 8. We're open 4 to 8. And so we get a lot of people after, like on their way home.
Mhm.
So we're playing around with the idea of doing some hot options there. We do have like a pizza oven that does beautiful flatbreads, and Adrian has like a killer dough recipe, and the pizza's like kind of like higher end, like really really yummy. He made me a bunch for my birthday in
Aw.
November because we had like, a lunch. So we're thinking about doing a little bit of that and having that option on Wednesdays so that you can come in and like grab some food and go home and have your dinner already done, and playing around with a bit more of that type of
So
thing.
you obviously have, like, a very strong relationship with him.
We do.
To just have a chef that's, like, this willing to try different things and do different things and commit to things, I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, and I mean there's definitely things I've thrown out there that I like he's not doing.
Like what?
Like, well, I throw I throw things at him with the context of like, if you don't want to do it, like I don't care. Like nothing that's happening out of there is something that I need to have happen. We are slammed as a business. So if I throw something out, I'm like, I'm just gonna throw this out. If you don't like it, you can just
Yeah,
throw it right back to me. Like,
get it off
just
my
think
brain
about it.
and
Yeah,
let it
think
go,
about
yeah.
it, get back to
Mhm.
me. Like, I'm fine with that. We did our Christmas dinners. So like you can pre-order side dishes for the
Mhm.
holidays, and we've done that before. We In the past we did it as a package. So you bought everything. This time we called it the holiday shop, and it was by pre-order so that Adrian knew exactly what to cook, but it was like you could get your seasonal salad, you could get your tiramisu, your apple cranberry crisp, your gravy, your stuffing, your side vegetables. So everything's ready to go, and it's either fresh like the salad, or you just stick it in the oven like the side dishes, and then you heat them for Christmas, and then your dinner's done. And you can pair it with one of our hams or our prime rib roasts. And that was something that we like came back to this year, and that was something that I was like, "You want to do that again?" And he was like, I don't know." He was a little bit kind of, I think, on the fence a bit more. And I said to him, "Well, what if we just did it as individual pieces?" And then we
Mm,
handled the distribution of it. Like I took all the orders because he used to do it in the past before us.
mm.
But he's like, it was always such a logistics, like, somebody would leave without checking their order. And then if they didn't have their carrots, they wanted me to drive out on Christmas morning to deliver like one thing of,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's Christmas dinner, right? So then I said to him, like, what if we like we'll handle the sales, we'll handle the logistics of it. Nobody leaves our farm store without double like that. So it was hands off. It was more hands off. Like he still had to obviously do all the cooking, which like, I don't want to
Right.
have to do any of that. But as far as order picking up, they came to us. They told us what they want, what they ordered. Like, hey, I'm here to pick up my order. We would go get the order, double check it with them. We had a thing where like, because this is Christmas dinner, you're not leaving until we've checked the order with you because I love you, but I'm not dropping
Oh.
your carrots off on Christmas Day. And then everybody would laugh. And it was just kind of like a thing that, we did while we were distributing them. We'd get their order out. Like my crew's really experienced with execution of orders because that's what we do with our deliveries. And we're really low. Like we don't make a lot of mistakes, knock on wood, but we have it pretty dialed. We're 11 years into this business and we've been doing online ordering from the very beginning. We don't mess up very much. We've got pretty good checks and balances. So that took a lot off his plate, but I know there was that little bit of like oh, I don't know. And like we've tried some things that didn't work. We thought we were going to do pre-ordered charcuterie and that was going to be every weekend, and that didn't sell like we thought it was going to. So now it's only for holidays. There's
Mm.
been some things that we've tried. We thought fresh salads were going to work out really well. So Adrian was doing fresh, and Adrian makes the best salads with like
They're really good.
local greens and stuff. And they look really great, but they didn't sell well enough. And then we were having food waste. And so we
Mm.
canned that. So, we're trying new things and trying to be flexible when things don't work out.
What has been, like, the best feedback so far from customers? Like, what stands out to you?
Just how comfortable they feel inside the store. The number one thing that we get is they're like, we feel like we're coming home to your home and getting to shop with you. Like people just feel really welcome. And that's been the biggest thing. It's been absolutely wild that we have been in this exact neighborhood, whether we were at the old farm or the new farm, for 11 years doing this business. And we're getting people coming in that are like, oh, I just lived down the street. I had no idea that you were here. Can you
Wow.
imagine? There's been a lot of that. And it's been wild. So we've
Wow.
had people being like, we had people coming in on like the first week and saying to us like, I good luck with your new business. Like they'd
You're like,
never been there before.
"No."
And I'm like, like laughing because I'm like,
Where were
we're
they
actually
finding
in a new
you?
business. I think it's just okay. So everything that I said before about the scrappy store and that being all fantastic, I think people just paid more attention when it was like we had the kitchen, we had the like,
Mm.
there was a bit more to promote once we
Mm.
had all the other things. So people took notice more a lot in the community Facebook pages. There was a lot of people that picked us up in the community Facebook pages more so. And I hate a community Facebook group.
I'm
Hate a
I'm
community Facebook group.
I am zippering my
Oh,
lips
I hate
shut.
them. I hate them. They're terrible.
Oh, I cannot wait to tell you about my community Facebook
I
story.
do
Like, not right
find
now, but
the where the farm is located, the community Facebook groups are not nearly as bad as where our ranch is. Where our ranch is, it's like super small town. It's like scandalous and fighty, and everybody, it's that kind of Facebook
mhm.
community group.
Mhm.
In Langley, it's not quite like that. But I think more people were kind of like hearing about us from other neighbors and things like that. And we're in a more prominent location. Like we're still on the same property, but it's more obvious where we are. The parking lot you can now see from the road. So you can see the cars from the road. It's
Mm.
much more like what's going on up there than it was before.
Have you had more people just, like, stopping in that have seen it? That are just like, "Oh, I was driving past and
Yeah,
I."
and we get a lot of runners in our area, so a lot of the people that are
Oh.
like no, that
Like,
that run
actual
by.
running.
Yeah, like actual
"Who's on
run.
my
Yeah,
run?"
not like stealing and running.
Cardio.
We get a lot more runners in our area because like, we're in the winery area and it's kinda pretty
Yeah,
and stuff,
yeah.
and people that have run by me waving because I always wave to the people when they're running when I'm driving my car when I'm driving.
Oh.
I'm not out there running because 'cause I'm like, "Good for you. You get a wave because I don't wanna run." But anyways, those people are like starting to pop in and they're like, I've been running by here for, 6 years and never stopped in. And now I see all the cars and I wanted to, see what it's all about. So that's
Oh,
nice.
that's cool. What's the, like, most talked about item or thing? Is it hot lunches? Is it a retail item? Is there anything that's kind of the buzz?
We're doing really good with like the local dairy is really popular. The local we have this like freshly milled flour that comes out
Ooh,
of Alberta. So it comes from the province next to us. But it's like milled to order. It doesn't have it's not fortified, it's organic, it's all the things.
yeah.
Milled fresh to order. So that's been really popular. And a lot of things that I brought things in and Jay was like, $20 bottle of maple syrup. He's like, nobody's buying that. And we've reordered it 4 times. Ooh, kettle corn from the Yukon. So like northern Canada. This
Wait,
kettle
wait,
corn
like
from the
like just
like
corn
Alaska.
kernels or popped
No,
kernels?
popcorn.
No, I'm like
Yeah.
like
Like
right, but
kettle
it's like
corn.
it's ready
It's
to eat, like, you
Yes,
can pull it
in
out
a
and eat it.
bag, it's ready to eat, it's got,
Yes.
like, whiskey caramel on it and, like, all sorts of
Okay.
different flavors, and it's so good, but it comes from right next door to Alaska
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know
for
where the
our
Yukon was.
American
I
listeners.
was just trying to determine if it was,
No,
like,
I'm saying for
popcorn
all the
corn
other
or
people listening.
oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, so
I was
it's in a
like, "Yeah, I
bag.
know where the Yukon is."
Yeah, no, I'm just for somebody might
Got
not
it.
know.
No, I
You
got it. I
you
got
know
it.
Alaska well, so you know that area.
It's 'cause I dated a boy up there for a
Yeah, so you
while.
know Alaska, which means you know the Yukon, but
Yeah.
yeah, it comes from there. Like, there's been some unique products that when I brought them in, it got a little side eye from Jay or from somebody in the store, and then it was like, "Kidding, we've been reordering it like crazy." Elderberry syrup sold out so many times, and it's a higher priced item.
Mhm.
Some of the stuff that people were like, "Nobody's gonna buy this for $30," and then it's been selling like crazy.
Do you have, like, a gut check moment when you, like, go to put the prices on stuff at all? Does that,
I
like
had a hard time at the very beginning. I think I was undercharging.
uh-huh.
Farmers, like meat
Yeah.
producers, farmers, like it's so hard to mentally wrap your head around a different margin like that. But then I need to be really cognizant of the fact that like I can't like there's no point in bringing in retail if retail's not positively impacting
Mhm.
the company. Otherwise it is a waste of my time, it's the waste of our crew's time. Like I'll take a bite on things like the sourdough and the local dairy and the things where like I know the people and they're friends, and it's also a product that I know what's gone into it, like the
Mhm.
cheese, they're also farmers. I know the margins aren't
Right.
great. So those products, but it was a gut check, but I think having Carolina in my corner really reminding me that, like, hey, you can't just because you're selling the item as a farmer doesn't mean you should be charging less than the grocery store is. Like, doesn't mean you should be charging
Mm.
like you've got if Save on Foods is charging this, why are you trying to be the same price or cheaper than them? Because it does happen. You're like, oh, will somebody buy this pasta for $9? They do.
Especially, I think, when you see what the wholesale is. It's one thing to just walk into a store and pay that because 'cause you're like, "Oh, this is X." But then when all of a sudden you're looking at the back end and you're like you kind of, like, see it through your own lens, like, "You mean I could've like, this was only $4 for the store to get, and
Yeah.
now I'm paying $9?"
Yeah.
Like, I can see that being really hard.
Yeah. And I mean, it's so easy to like I think with food too, because there's so much sensitivity around the cost of groceries, and I'm not saying
Mhm.
that we that's not deserving. I know that it's really expensive. I feel the sticker shock when I go to the grocery store and buy groceries too, and so there's a lot of sensitivity around that, and I never want people to feel like I'm ripping them off on their groceries. On the flip side, I also know the margin is not when all the expenses to run this business are done. We are like, it is not a greedy amount of money that's
Yeah.
left. When you're
Right, right.
balancing, when you're adding
You don't have a
retail
private
in,
plane yet.
no, it's like it's
Mhm.
ridiculous. Like it's not so unless it is that, by the time you whittle away staff like
Mhm.
wages and benefits and all of the different things is not no one's being greedy here.
Yeah. What's the staff say? How is the staff liking it?
I feel like I'm getting
What does
all their
Sharon
paychecks
think?
back.
Oh.
They it's so funny because I really kept the bar so low, you guys. We had no windows. We had no heat before. Like
Oh.
we had no proper lunchroom. So the bar was so low, and yet our crew still all loved working for the farm. So like we must have been doing something right then for them all to be like good with that. But now we have heat and we have windows and we have a separate like a separate lunchroom that's got, it's pretty in there, and we put a Christmas tree in the lunchroom and stuff. So it's definitely a different vibe. I feel like I'm basically at this point getting a lot of their paychecks back from them because they're so excited about all the retail goods. And obviously they get a staff discount. So they're like buying their groceries with us. But I like, I'm like,
Oh.
do you really, you should not get another kettle corn because I feel like you deserve to have a paycheck at the end of this. But they, like, so many of
Oh.
them did their Christmas shopping with us and stuff for their family, and, poured back into the company,
That's
and that's been great.
amazing.
It's been fun, like, having those kinds of margins on retail goods means that I've always tried to be really generous with the employee discounts that we give, because I like, our staff is the reason that this company is successful. It's the reason that our customers, the number one feedback we always get is just how much people feel welcome, and I can't do that alone. And the fact that they all feel like, the women in the store are just so nice and welcoming, and they
Mm.
remember their names, and that's just such a huge thing for me. So I want to always make sure they're taken care of. But the margins in meat, even a good discount for me to give, doesn't necessarily make a huge difference in the price for them, because meat margins are just not there. So it's been really fun that I'm able to give like a better margin on retail goods
Oh.
and stuff so that they can get like, you know, our meat has this discount, and then I make sure there's a bigger retail margin in that, and I can give them some better margins in some of our prepared foods items now that Adrian's got the kitchen, like the way that the kitchen's structured. So it's been fun to be able to, get their feedback on products we're bringing in and stuff.
Oh, I love that. Like, how cool to enter into
Yeah.
this new phase. And I remember, like, you talking about early last year. I think it was, like, when on the retreat when we were headed down to the retreat last year about, like, I think it might be time, like, pick and pack. It feels like we're running out of room. We're having our like, what
Yeah.
I don't even think at that time you had, like, a set vision for what that was going to
We
be.
did not.
But that is an incredible amount of work and an incredible amount of growth in less than a calendar year. And then to have like such a good positive coming out the other side, like that to me is just get the warm and fuzzies.
And at this point, and there'll probably be a couple customers that listen to this podcast. Nothing has been decided if you are one of our customers, but we
Oh,
are we are thinking about moving away from deliveries. So if you are one of our delivery customers, nothing has been announced, nothing has been decided, nothing is set in stone, but we are considering looking at moving away from that sales model,
and going like all in with the farm store.
just all in with the farm store.
Oh, more to
Our
come on that
sales in the farm store, well, because we have a lot of our customers that are now driving out to the farm store that used to take
because it's a
deliveries. Like our
thing.
customers, yeah, it's a thing.
Uh-huh.
They like the feeling and the vibe, and if you were only getting once a month delivery, now they're making a trip out to the farm store. And
Mhm.
so what we're noticing is I don't wanna go and, like, a lot of our delivery customers, first of all, a lot of our delivery customers came from the fact that we were at markets out in those communities, and then we stopped attending them. Part of it was, COVID, and people were working from home, and they're not working from home anymore, and so they can't accept an order on a Tuesday, and we sell a frozen perishable product, and it's not, we do our deliveries in house. I know we've kind of talked about a little bit of that shift in a previous episode, as well in season 1, but our sales are now so insanely strong out of the farm store that there is a possibility that we move away from doing deliveries, and we are delivery drivers. Like, I'm not saying anything that our staff would need to know at this
Mm.
point. Like, I'm not,
Mhm.
our delivery drivers, we have 2 of them right now, and they also, when they're not doing deliveries, work in the butcher shop. So that
Oh.
doesn't, like, I'm not saying
Mhm.
we're firing anybody. I'm just saying we may
Right,
not end
right.
up like that. That means that they would have more time to be working in the butcher shop, which we are scrambling to keep up with. And
Uh-huh.
so there's a chance that we could move away in the future, move away from deliveries without having any changes to staffing, without having changes. And the delivery end of things is the expensive part. It is much more challenging. It means we wouldn't be packing all the orders. It means we'd just be able to extend our store hours, because the thing is right now is we can't really extend our store hours because we can't service our customers well while also packing orders. We have to do
Mm.
one or the other. The store is so busy when it's open that we can't pack orders, and then we can't help customers when we're trying to pack orders and make it so that we're not making mistakes.
So are you telling me I should stop looking for a Schwann's van for you?
We might
I
not need
should.
A Schwann's van anymore. And don't get me wrong, this might be a year from now. We're not there
Right,
yet.
right, right.
It makes Jay wildly uncomfortable. He does
Mhm.
not want to get rid of deliveries. He thinks that's crazy. Don't get me wrong, there's still tens of thousands of dollars monthly that's, sales from delivery. I can just more confidently see a future that could potentially involve not doing deliveries with the way that the farm store is developed. Like I had no idea that sales could be what they are out of the farm store.
Oh, on that good note,
Mhm.
I mean, that's just huge. That's just amazing. Like, I'm so excited. If you were listening today, you got to hear this is the first time I'm hearing all of this too, because we
Mhm.
haven't even had a chance to catch up and learn all of this. So thank you for joining us as we caught up and learned how it's going with Kendall's new farm store. And obviously we still have even more to talk about and catch up in. So hit the
'Cause we
subscribe
have
button.
all of your stuff to get through, you guys.
I
There is
wasn't even
some
thinking about me.
good
I was
No,
thinking
there is
about
some
Jagger.
good No, I'm so excited. There's some really good business stuff coming your way, because that's the thing, is listening to the stories of what's been going on for the last few months can give so much just insight into things that you can apply to your own business, and things that
Mhm.
you maybe didn't consider previously that you might consider now. And so I'm just really excited because Jess has had an absolute there's been a lot going on behind the scenes and a lot that we are going to unpack. I joked to Jess it's going to be a 3-part podcast. We're basically
Mm.
just going to be done season 2 by the time we're done with Jess, because she's got so much on the go.
Yeah, it rapidly shifted, but we will share more with you on that in the next episode. So make sure you hit subscribe and we will see you next time.
Talk to you later.